Hi, welcome in. I'm Amy and this is Book of Magic. Today in this free class, I'm going to show you how to use our Sacred Feminine collage kit to make some really beautiful bookmarks or paper dolls. We are going to reduce these down to 65%. These are 2 of the 5 collage sheets that come with the Sacred Feminine kit. You can get this in our Etsy shop called Book of Magic, and I will leave the link in the description. When you download and print these out, the images are about 3 to 3.5 inches high, tall. The height of them, when you reduce them to 65%, is about 2 to 2.5 inches high. So first you'll want to do that. You can go and do that. I did mine at Staples with the copy machine. And then we're going to use cardstock. This one is 110 pounds. And I'm using Mad Gel Medium to adhere the images to the cardstock. This Matte Gel Medium is by Master's Touch, and you can find all of the gel mediums in the fine arts section of the craft store. They're near the fine arts, acrylic and oil paints, and the paintbrushes. So I'm just going to brush this on underneath, and I'm also brushing it on top to smooth it down. This is optional. You don't have to paint glue on top of the image. It's just something that I did. It works either way. You can also use a glue stick, or actually I think it's best to just either use a gel medium or a glue stick for this project for gluing down the face image. Later on we'll probably use Elmer's glue, but these 2 types of glue, the glue stick and the gel medium, are ideal for a thin paper collage. And now I'm drying it to move on to the next step, because drying it helps me and it's going to help you to work over it, and the paper isn't as buckled when it's dry. So now I'm using my charcoal pencil. This one is by Generals, and I am drawing an outline. I'm giving the impression of a body or a robe, and this is, more impressionistic than anything. There's not a lot of detail here. These can turn into bookmarks, like I said, or you can use these as note cards. They can be covers of small journals. They can be tags. Just there's really so many things you can do with these, so I am so excited to share this with you. Now I'm just going to cut around the whole thing, and I'm cutting right up against the image, but you can leave a little border if you like. It's just a preference. So I found the best way to choose your paper and images for these is to think of a theme first. Like, what do you want What kind of a feel are you going for? And so for mine, I chose Wild Woman. And when I chose that, it made me think of this book that I have called Women Who Run with the Wolves, and it's by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. And it's myths and stories of the wild woman archetype. It's so awesome. And I haven't read the whole thing like straight through. I just kind of open it up and see what it has to tell me. But like the stories in it are just so beautiful and poetic and empowering. So I'm kind of going with that vibe. And I have this book that I thrifted of wolves. It's photography of wolves, and I found these two images that were small enough to fit on the dolls. And then this scrapbook paper I've had it for a while. Thought that would be perfect. I feel like I'm in the woods, which I love the woods so much. And so now I'm just kind of laying these on top of each other and thinking about composition and which wolf I want to go on which doll. And I'm thinking about contrasting colors between the background and the wolf. And if it's a white wolf, I want the background to be darker. If it's a dark wolf, I want the background to be lighter. So I just kind of look around the scrapbook page or the scrapbook paper and see where I can find dark and light areas of it. I'm going to lay the doll down and trace around her so I can get the outline of the shape. If you are liking this content, please give me a like and consider subscribing. Just trace around here, and then we're gonna cut these out, and I'm gonna show you how to do the neckline. So the way I do it is I lay the paper on top of the doll, and I'm just gonna lift up and look at where the neckline is and do my best to draw a line right where it is, lifting up, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and doing my best to follow the neckline that is underneath it. Get it out, lay it on there to see if I did okay. And yes, it is close enough. It's never exactly perfect, but that looks pretty good. And then if I feel like there's a little more, just go back and forth and then cut that off. Yeah, that looks really good. I think we have something here. I'm going to go back to my matte gel medium adhesive and glue these babies on. Working from top to bottom, and I'm working in about 1-inch sections where I apply glue in this 1-inch section and then smooth it down. I'm gonna grab some more glue, do that again, kind of bending this back and forth so that it dries straight and doesn't buckle on me. You can also use a gift card or any type of plastic card to smooth this downward using a towel. And I'm just going to go all the way down and then add the wolf on. And any part of the wolf that's hanging over the edge, I can just trim that off. And it's always easier to see what I need to trim off if I flip it over and look at it from the back. So I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to be experimenting with different themes for these paper dolls. And if you want to see my ideas, you can follow me on Instagram at Amy Fig. It's Amy _ AMY _ FIG _ Amy Fig. And then don't forget, if you want to get this collage kit, it is only $2.99 in our Etsy shop and you can download it instantly. I'll leave the link for everything in the description. I'm using my charcoal pencil again to put an outline around the wolf in order to make him stand out from the background even more. And then if I add a little bit of water and then wipe it off of my brush and just touch the outer edge of this charcoal outline, I get a good smear effect. Like a shadow outline, and it looks really good. I love how this looks. So dip my brush in the water, wipe it off a little bit, and then using the very tip of my brush, I'm kind of smearing back and forth the outer edge of the charcoal line, just barely touching the outer edge of it. The key here is to not care if it looks messy, because it's supposed to look messy. And also remember, there's enough materials and supplies in your art room and in the world to make another one. So if you happen to do something that you feel is a mistake or you want to start over, there's enough. So don't feel like, you know, you've ruined everything if you don't like what you made at first. I have some books that are just about flowers, but you can find images anywhere in magazines. So I went looking for flower arrangements that were smaller so that I could use them for a crown or a headdress of some sort. And I found these, and then I cut them out, and I'm just kind of laying them on the doll to see, you know, how they look, or if I like it. I like this one, but it feels like it needs some adjustments, and I don't know what yet. But I don't know if I need to add to it or take away from it. So I'm just kind of experimenting here. And this is part of the process that I really love. It's like solving a problem. And I'm looking to create balance from my eye. And that's going to look different to me than it would to anyone else. But what matters is that it feels good and it feels right to me. So I'm going to continue working until I find the best flow. I'm adding, this is acrylic ink by Liquitex in Burnt Umber. And I'm just going to paint her hair this very subtle brown. I like how it looks against the black and white like pencil sketch of her face. This brown isn't too bold, it's very subtle. I am gonna put a couple of coats of it on, but it's still very subtle, and that's what I like about it. I think that keeping the skin tone in just grayscale is really helpful. It's easy and it makes your project go by quicker because you don't have to spend time trying to get an even color tone for the skin. So I rather like just leaving it like this, and you'll see what we do later that adds a little bit of color to it. So I'm gluing down the headdress. I like how it looks, but to me it's reading kind of tropical or island, and I want more of a woodsy look. So I'm going to take some steps to make it darker and add some darker tones to it. This is an acrylic ink as well. And this is that same burnt umber that I was using a minute ago. I'm mixing these two. I want a darker green. I'm gonna paint some of the leaves darker. I like using these inks and also high flow acrylics because they're really light and watery, and they seem to work really well over the top of collage paper. I'm not using a whole lot of water. I always wipe my brush off before I touch the paper with it. Too much water with these would just it would start to shred the paper, or it would start to bubble up. So I'm always mindful of the amount of water that I'm putting onto the paper. This is a red acrylic ink by Liquitex as well. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of feeling it out. I just know that I don't want so much white in the flower. I want it to be kind of a deeper red. I wanted it to have some browns in it. I'm looking for a balance and just adjusting to my own liking. Now, this is my favorite technique. I'm using this chalk pastel and a Q-tip and rubbing it on gently in circular forms, circular pattern, and just kind of gently rubbing it into the surface of the paper. And sometimes if I put a little too much in a certain area, I can just erase it. It comes off really easily with an eraser. And I can add as many layers as I need to make it darker. And then for the lips, I'm using a Prismacolor pencil in pink. I'm following the shading that's already on there in pencil, the black and white shading that's already there. I'm putting my pink pencil darker in the darker areas that are already there and lighter in the lighter areas, if that makes sense. I'm going on top of the shading that's already there. Same thing here, adding my chalk pastel. You can get chalk pastel sets for really good prices at the craft store, student grade pastel sets that are really awesome. That's what this is. Pinky lips again. Now, for this lady, what to do with her headdress. I found this another small flower arrangement, and I'm going to just trim at it until it looks right. That's my best guidance. Trim at it until it feels right or looks right. again, it's just important to remember that you can't get this wrong. And once you really believe that, your design just flows, because you have no fear. You know, I'm really not fearless, like when it comes to, you know, physical activities. Like, I don't want to go skydiving or mountain climbing, or I don't really get on roller coasters anymore. But I'm pretty fearless when it comes to collage and drawing and painting. I love the part that's experimental. It just feels really good to bring something to life, make something out of nothing, make all of the pieces of the puzzle fit. Now, I grabbed Elmer's glue because it was close, it was handy, and these are little pieces that I'm gluing in. And, you know, honestly, I just didn't want to get my brush out and the matte gel medium out again. I sometimes do this when it's just a small area that needs glue. Just grab the Elmer's. And if I would have had my glue stick, definitely would have used that right now. So now I would like to put words on these dolls, and I went and grabbed this stack of note papers that I have, and I've saved. I love to write notes. I have notes everywhere. When I use up the Post-it notes, then I just write on pieces of scrap paper. They're just everywhere. And I've condensed them down a lot. And this is what I have left. And I think this is pretty good. So what I'm going to do is look through here, see if anything is interesting, and kind of narrow it down and then go from there. So I like this one. And what feels right is to cut out some specific words out of here and then place them onto the doll. So what I wrote here was complete sentences, but I'm just picking and choosing words that I like out of here, and I'm creating a new phrase out of them, which actually worked out really good. If you're a note taker, this is gonna work out smashingly for you. So I used to feel overwhelmed by my notes. Like, I had stacks of notes, but, you know, I couldn't take it anymore, so I just threw away a whole bunch of them. And now I try to make a point of writing my notes in notebooks instead of loose papers. But still, I don't know, something about writing on a loose piece of paper. I don't know. Does anyone out there do that too? Is it something about the loose piece of paper? It feels like, it just feels easier, or like there's no pressure. It's temporary. I don't know. Anyone feel the same way? Let me know in the comments if you're a note taker. So again, I'm just gluing these down with the old Elmer's glue. Now this glue, it can get thick and clumpy, So I'm just using a little tiny bit because these are small pieces of paper. Again, the ideal glue for this would be the glue stick. But we use what we have. We're making it work. I mean, oh my god, I'm so happy with this. Isn't this awesome? I got this phrase, I am free and safe. And then sacred space. It's just so perfect. Now, your dolls that you make will be important to you, and they will resonate with you and what you're going through, because you're going to choose from your notes and from your papers that you have, and you're going to choose flowers from the mood that you're in. And please feel free to use these designs as inspiration. Here's some other ones that I used. The gold leaf and pictures of textiles. Just came out really awesome. And then this one, this little bird image is also in the Sacred Feminine kit. So I hope that this inspired you, and I hope you go get that Sacred Feminine collage kit right now and see what you can do. If you make any of these, please tag me on Instagram. I would love to see what you make. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.